Around 7 years ago, I started my game dev journey. I picked up Unreal Engine 4, Blender, and taught myself how to make games from scratch. And you'd think that by now I would have been somewhat of an established developer, have a few games here and there, and, make some money. I mean, anything, even scraps. But that's not the case. If you're anything like me, there is a high chance that you struggle with abandoning and starting new projects over and over again and not being able to finish anything. So let me ramble on about it. A very common advice that you can hear when it comes to game development is to start small, to scope down your ideas. And one of the main reasons behind it is to avoid this very problem that I have right now, the quitting problem. Imagine that you want to listen to this advice. Think of a small idea for a game. You start working on it. Maybe a week passes, a month, a few months, maybe not a year. That's that's a little bit too long. And then it happens. You quit. You give up. But alas, not all is lost because you can start a new, fresh project. Come up with another idea, you start working on it, everything goes smoothly, a week passes, a month, maybe a couple months, and then it happens again. You quit, you give up, bury the project deep down, and then you do it again. Come up with a new idea, start working on it, and then give up again, over and over again. One would say that this is the definition of insanity. Sounds familiar? Now, I don't want to bore you with my life story, so I'm just quickly gonna say that I don't have my full-time job is not related to game development at all. It's not even related to computers. I work in a warehouse as a certified forklift driver. The job is pretty chill. It's just really boring. My God. So obviously I want to quit that job and do game dev full time. But how am I supposed to do that when I can't make a single game? I am a huge fan of horror. I love anything that's horror related. And I remember back in the days, back in the PewDiePie, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, the good old days, I used to watch horror YouTubers. Mostly my favorite one at the time was Korya Kenshin. I had this dream, make a horror game and have my favorite YouTuber play it. So that's the main reason why I picked game dev. And the reason why I went with Unreal is because of the blueprints. I did go to the university to study computer science. I dropped out after 2 months. So yeah, that's the main reason why I chose blueprints, because I was kind of scared of programming. But anyways, after learning it a bit and then constantly juggling a bunch of projects that never seen the light of day, I finally got confident enough to do it, seriously. And that's how my first video was born. Monkey Totem Curse. that game is so trash. But anyway, the plan was to release a bunch of small, short, free horror games on itch, build up an audience, have my name out there, be recognizable. After a few of those games, I would then drop a banger, big commercial horror game. I would have an easier time advertising and promoting it because of the audience that I built. And that's also one of the reasons why I started this channel. Now, the problem with doing devlogs is target audience, because who watches devlogs? It's mostly other developers. If you're doing devlogs for advertising, you want to reach the gamers, people who play games and not people who make them. Although, some developers still play games, I play games, so, now there are mostly two types of devlogs. An entertaining one, so you can think about people like Danny, Fat Dino, Wishbone Games. These videos are characterized by fast editing styles, lots of cuts, effects, sound effects, titles like I've made a game in 48 hours or in 24 hours, in 1 hour. Oh my God. These videos are kind of easier to digest. They are more geared towards entertainment and you don't really go too much in depth into mechanics and the technical side of making games. So the target audience for these is other developers and some maybe people who are interested in making games or some people who, yeah. And the second type of devlogs is more technical one, slower pace, not a lot of cuts. You can think of kind of like imagine if you want to do some sort of navigation system in your game, but the default Unreal or Unity or Godot system is not performant enough, so you have to figure out your own solution. You know, those type of devlogs. For those, it's mostly other developers who watched. So as you can imagine, I went with the first one, the entertaining one. Whether my videos are entertaining, that's another topic. So I've made a total of three free games, all trash. And of course, between those three games, tried to make a bunch of other ones, but I quit. So yeah. Eventually, I don't know why, but I got this fake boost of confidence that, you know, maybe it's time to make something commercial, make a paid game, because why not? And around that time, I saw this game called Dusk. I saw that it has these retro graphics, which is something that I know how to do, at least a little bit. The gameplay, you know, like a first-person retro shooter or boomer shooter. I know how to do that as well. And then I also saw that this game sold like bazillion copies. So I figured, why not? I can definitely do that. So let's try working on a paid commercial game. And I also wanted to make devlogs for it. One reason for it being is, you know, the advertising one, but also I wanted to document the entire process because I think it's kind of cool how you can see a game being made from absolute nothingness. The last reason is I wanted to hold myself accountable. If I make a devlog and it gets like thousands of views, then it would kind of make me, I guess, motivated to keep working on it. First devlog, boom, 3,000 views. Amazing. Okay, let's keep on working. Second devlog, boom, 1,000 views. A little bit lower, but still, you know, really good. Psha! Third devlog, boom, 2,000 views. And then nothing. 11 months have passed and no fourth devlog. You see, when I started editing that third devlog, I already knew that I am going to give up. Now, the main reason why is because I looked back at the amount of progress that I've made and I came to this realization that this game is going to take me years to finish. And I don't want that. I don't want years, I want months. And also, the problem with devlogs is that sometimes you focus too much on what would make for a good content for the video instead of what would make for a good game. Not to mention that I tried to release one video every 1 to 2 months. And because I chose this more entertaining type, which required a lot of editing and cuts. And because I did it all in my free time, sometimes simply editing one video would take me at least 2 weeks, which, you know, for 2 or 3 videos, that's 1.5 months, which I could have spent on working on the game instead. So I think this project took me like 5 months. And then after those 5 months, I looked back and I just see that I have nothing. I have like one half finished level, unpolished mechanics, trash art style, and just it's not worth it. I'm wasting time. Why keep on working on it? Okay, so give up on this project, but now what? What do I do now? Maybe I'm just burned out. Maybe I just need a little break. I took like a 2-week or 3-week break from game dev. Around that time, I remember I was watching Keiso. I watched him play this game called Dolmer, which is essentially get a job in a doll making factory, and you have to make sure that each doll has no defects. And of course, a horror game it is. Why not do something like that? A horror game where you get a job and you have to do some sort of task, and that's it. So the idea that I came up with is sorting. You work in a factory and your job is to sort items. You get money for the correct sort. By upgrades, you have to meet the quota. Yep, that's it. And as of for what item do you sort? Rubber ducks. Because why not? Now, the idea for the story that I had was that you actually sort a little toy rubber ducks, soldiers, And those ducks essentially plan to conquer the world, and you help them by sorting them correctly. Now, I don't remember exactly why I gave up on that project, but I think it's the same as before, where I just looked back, realized how much work there is needed to finish it, and I just lost motivation and gave up. Now, this little duck sorting project took around 25 days. 25 days for this. But alas, not all hope is lost, because a new idea was born. What is something that we all have in common? We all went to school, uh, at least 99% of us. Or maybe even like 90, I don't know. But anyway, for this project, I figured let's only use assets. I'm not gonna make anything myself, to essentially lower the scope so that I can finish this game faster. The idea was that this is going to be a school horror exam game where you have to finish an exam while avoiding getting killed. The reason why I gave up on this one is kind of silly, because I started worrying too much about the localization. Imagine like 5 days in and you start worrying about localization. Like, what? Let's just forget about the localization and work on the spooky stuff. Now, at the time, anomaly games were popping off. If, in case you don't know, an anomaly game is essentially spot the difference game. You walk through the same level that repeats over and over again, and you have to spot the differences. Like, I don't know, a chair is missing, a monster face is looking through the window, this kind of stuff. So the idea for the gameplay was to you have to solve a test, but occasionally you have to look around the room to look for anomalies. If there is too many of them at once, you die, and the objective is to solve the test. Again, I've hit the same wall as before, and that is game dev takes a lot of time. I looked back, realized that this is going to take way too long, and it's not really that good of an idea. It's kind of mid. Yeah, I gave up. But also the issue is that because I decided to use assets, store bought assets. I've never bought any asset. I just got them as freebies. I can't really match this level by making my own assets, because I mean there were some things that I wanted to make myself, like characters, but I can't make those like realistic looking ones. So yeah, let's just give up and do something else. But wait, let's not abandon it. Let's pivot it. Let's pivot it to the Exit 8 like game. Yeah, nah. In total, it took me 2 months for this school horror game. Okay, new idea. I saw this game called Kiosk. It sold like hot pants, and this is, something that I can make. Very small, simple graphics. But I thought, let's combine it with Order 13 game. In case you don't know, Kiosk, it's a little game where you serve customers a bunch of food. And in Order 13, you work in a warehouse, you have to go to a location, avoid monsters, get back, deliver the item, make money, buy upgrades, stuff like that. So my idea was to make a juice bar game where you serve juice to customers, but sometimes when you run out of ingredients, you have to go to the back warehouse area and look for ingredients while avoiding monsters. Wait a second, what if the ingredients were sentient? You have to hunt for them with a shotgun and then kill them in cold blood and collect their sweet juice. Yeah, I gave up after 2 months. Then I saw Queso play Red Flats, and I got really inspired by it. You can probably start to see a pattern here. I watch gameplay footage, devlog or something. I watch something, I don't know what. I get inspired from it, and I try to copy it. But after working on it for a while, I then realize it's gonna take too long. My idea is not original, it's not marketable. I lose all motivation, all hope, and I just give up and start over and over again. And at that time, I kind of got tired of constantly giving up. So I figured, let's just make a classic horror game. That's what I did. But this time, I'm going to start with level design. Level design is something that I usually give up on because it's one of those game dev areas that takes the most amount of time, I would say. And usually you start with gameplay first, then you work on the art, then sound effects, music, and then maybe more content, more levels, more weapons, more enemies, stuff like that. After making a simple apartment level, I started working on a little story system. You interact with a door, it triggers a monologue. After that, it allows you to interact with a box or something, and so on. This little system I have rewritten like 3 times. Yeah, good use of my time, I would say. Okay, so now that the level is finished, the gameplay is somewhat present. I noticed it felt a little bit empty. So let's increase the scope of this game by adding an outside area. Brilliant. Now, while it took a little bit of time, it was definitely worth it to be able to look outside the window. Except it still feels a little bit empty. So let's increase the scope by adding some characters. Initially, I didn't plan on adding any characters because I kind of suck at modeling them, and the only character I wanted was the monster. An apartment complex needs some humans in it. So I've made some humans. But of course, if we have characters, we have to increase the scope even further by adding a dialogue system. So I did. I've made a dialogue system. So actually, my mom helped me record some of these amazing voice lines. We had a lot of fun. I don't know if you can notice, but I tried to mimic the If we have a dialogue system, absolutely have to increase the scope even further by adding a dialogue options. Yeah, let's add the choices to the game. Why not? So now that we have a dialogue choices, you know what's coming. We of course have to increase the scope even further by making each choice affect the outcome of the game and have multiple endings. Yeah, GG, bro. Adding those systems definitely helped make the game or the world feel more alive. It drastically increased the scope of the game. And I think the reason why I've added all these systems is because of the didn't feel like it's good enough. I just wanted to add more because I felt like what I had was not enough. Now, in total, this project took around 5 months. Jesus. And the craziest thing is I've actually was in the middle of the setting up Steam page for this game, which honestly, this is the furthest I've been with any project. Now, of course, I gave up for the same reasons before. This game would take too much time to make. It's not good enough. Around that time, a new game came out. No, I'm Not a Human. And I was absolutely captivated by the visuals, the music, everything. Let's make something like that. Now, I'm not gonna mention this project because I think I've worked on it for like an hour and then I gave up. While I was working on that horror apartment game, incremental games were popping off, and I saw this goober talk about his black hole game. And okay, I'm sorry for calling you a goober, bro. It's kind of funny word. Anyway, I thought to myself, let's make an incremental game. Why not? So I came up with this idea that you have to toss coins into a wishing well. Objective would be to toss like a bazillion coins so that you can have one wish granted. Yeah, I just created a new project, stared at the blank canvas and gave up. Okay, but let's keep working on in this incremental direction. Imagine a mix between Iron Lung and FNAF in an incremental format. You operate a drill, a bunch of ores come up, you mine them, get money, buy upgrades, and occasionally you have to look outside the window of your base to make sure that no monsters are approaching. Actually, I still kind of like the idea, but again, there is this problem of game dev takes a lot of time, so I gave up after 10 days. No hope for me. What about ditching first-person games altogether? So I came up with this idea for a incremental top-down game where you defend a tower against a goblin invasion. This project actually taught me a lot, mostly about data-driven design and just optimizing for a large amount of entities. I still kind of suck at it. I don't know how to do flow maps or spatial partitioning. And of course, I gave up on this project as well, mostly because the same reasons as before. It would take too much time and it's just boring idea. I mean, you defend a static tower, it's just meh, meh. And this project took around a month of tinkering before I gave up, which brings us to my current project, or at least my or at least a project that I just dropped like a few days ago. Ta-da! As you can see, this is an incremental game where you mine resources on or ores on a celestial body or heavenly body, however you want to call it. The short pitch for it is that it's an incremental game where you mine heavenly bodies from small asteroids all the way to enormous black holes, until there is nothing left to mine in the universe. The main inspiration for this game was the game called Keep on Mining, and this game has pretty much nothing unique going for it. No offense to the devs, and I've seen a bunch of other mining games, not only incremental ones, and I've noticed that people love digging and mining. Children literally yearn for the mines, so why reinvent the wheel when I can just copy? And the main reason why I gave up on this one, all the previous reasons as well. Game dev takes too much, a long amount of time, and also it's kind of boring. But also, Next Fest that happened, what was it, like a week or 2 weeks ago? There was a ton, a ton of incremental games, and I just felt like I'm chasing trends. Like I'm just doing what everyone else is doing, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just made me feel like incremental genre is oversaturated right now. It's probably, I feel like this is the last good time to release an incremental game within a few months. Because again, there's just gonna be so many of them. Because for some reason, I don't know why, but everyone is making an incremental game. I mean, when you think about it, incremental games are honestly should be like the way better than 2D platformers, because I think they are easier to make than 2D platformers, mostly because of the lack of level design, for me at least. I do want to make games full time. I want to be able to pay the bills with the money made from the sales. A lot of people will say that if you want to make games for the money, you should quit, because there is a way more profitable professions out there. It's true. If I wanted to make better money, I should probably learn, I don't know, plumbing or becoming an electrician. But the thing is, I'm not really passionate about plumbing or electricity. I'm passionate about games. This is something I want to do. And I don't have like a high standard. My aim is to make $500 a month, probably more like 1,000 because of the Steam cut and taxes. So we all love taxes. So if I can somehow make $1,000 a month, that would be a dream come true. The fact that I have I would say even non-computer related job is quite isolating. I lurk on Reddit and YouTube comments, and I constantly see whenever the amount of wish list or sales is brought up, some people say that it's just better to do programming and stuff, and I don't have the option to do that. My skills are not good enough to be hired, unfortunately. Game dev in general is quite isolating because you can go for months working on something and never share it with anyone. I guess that also can affect your performance because of your mental health and stuff like that. I don't know where I'm going with this. And because I work in a warehouse, if I were to quit today, I could probably get the job back within next week on a little bit different terms, but still, it's not something that die or go homeless if I quit, which is a great opportunity. But I don't want to take the risk for as long as I don't have at least one game on Steam. And sometimes I watch, it's mostly Bite Me Games. He sometimes plays other people games to give feedback, and I would actually love to do that as well. Maybe someday. Maybe. I have another idea for a game, and I think this is going to be my last effort. If I fail again, then I'll either do tutorials or asset packs and sell them. If I fail again, guess this is just not for me. 7 years, barely anything finished. While it is a hobby of mine, but again, I have a goal of making money, and just, everything is conflicting. If by any chance anything that I have said resonated with you, let me know down in the comments. If you struggle with finishing games, or are you a 2+ years on one project Chad? And yeah, bye bye. I said bye bye.